Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions, and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair, and join the Trader Coffee Break.
Welcome to another episode of the Trader Coffee Break, guys. My name is Akil Stokes.
I'm Jason Graystone.
and we've got another coffee chat at hand. This week's going to be following on from kind of what we spoke about last time. We've done a little bit of work on personalities, shared some kind of tips, and we had a bit of a chat about different personalities and how you have to develop as a person and maybe change some of your personality traits if you want to be successful in trading or anything really. And this week, Akil calls me and says, I'm looking at a disc test. I think it's cool to go over some of the pointers on here. So Akil's actually got the disc test. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's essentially a personality profiling test, which I recommend that all of you do. We'll chuck a link in the description for this particular one. And Akil's going to read through some of the different personality types. And what we want you to do is really to see where you fit, what type of person you are at the moment. And we're also just going to have a chat about what the strengths and weaknesses are and things to look out for depending on what type of personality you got. So sound good? Let's get stuck in.
Yeah, it's perfect. And I think for you guys that are new to the DISC assessment, again, I recommend taking it as well. There's the, what is it? 16 personalities. That's
16 a good personalities is a good one
too. Yeah. I think it's cool to learn about yourself. With the DISC test specifically, it's think about it like a kind of a circle and or a square and there's 4 quadrants, and understand that as we go through these personality types, you're not just falling into one. So the first one, for example, D is dominance. You're not just fully dominant. There's a mix between.
There's a shadow, isn't there? There's a shadow into each of them.
And what you're trying to figure out is kind of where do you lie kind of in the middle of this and this and that and that. But I think it is important to understand that we all have personality type or traits that are in every single type. So we're not just classifying you as one. No. But we'll start with the D type, and I'll read through a really brief description. That way we're not keeping you here too long. But D is for dominance. And they say people with the D style personality tend to place strong emphasis on shaping the environment and overcoming opposition to accomplish results. And some of the goals that a D type has is striving for unique accomplishments, exploring opportunities, maintaining control, achieving independence, which I know we're probably going to touch on, and getting bottom line results. Some of the challenges are patience, sensitivity, explaining the details, and just allowing yourself to kind of relax, like I guess stepping off the gas pedal. So do any of those pop out right away that can, be very helpful or maybe a little bit hurtful in trading?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments, guys. What I would say about the dominance one is this type of person is someone who can make a great trader because they're very risk averse. They're not risk averse. They can just go and, they take control. They're happy with risk and action takers. Yeah. And obviously with action comes little fear, because action's a great remedy for fear. You don't sit there wondering and overthinking, you just take action. So it's great from that perspective, but the details, the lack of details can, what I've seen with these type of traders is when they're just D and they don't have the details, they tend to just churn through. They're happy taking risks, they're going through trading, and they break even because they haven't really bottomed out the real plan, and they don't have the kind of, they're not sticking to something that's monotonous because it's boring to them, and they're kind of the entrepreneurial type without the strategic planning and the kind of consistency, which is very, very common. So that's what I've found working with them. What about you, Akil?
Yeah, I agree with you that the action without thinking. It's great to take action, but there has to be a certain type of planning that goes along with it. One thing that stood out for me is the control element. I know D types and being an entrepreneur, a lot of us become entrepreneurs because we want to achieve independence. Like I know that the reason for me wanting to become an entrepreneur is because I was tired of having a boss. I was tired of someone saying what I could or couldn't do, or when I had to come in when I couldn't. I wanted to be in control of my life. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to help you guys do, is achieve financial independence so you can be in control of your life and have time. But I think the control factor, especially in trading, is hard because in order to be a successful trader, we have to accept that we have zero control. We have absolute control over our actions, but we have zero control over what the market does. And we always tell traders, the market will do whatever it wants, whenever it wants to. Yeah. And the difficult thing about trading, especially for probably this personality type, is that we can do everything right, everything 100% right by the book, and still be wrong. And there could be no reason for it. It's just the way it is. And I think that's very, very hard for, it's very, very hard for very intellectual people, like people that have always been at the top of their classes to kind of deal with that. And it's probably difficult for D type personalities as well.
I would say I'm mostly D, but that is something that I had to work on in the early, when I first got into trading. I remember telling this story way back when I was on podcasts about, I was losing money, but I was really, the biggest thing for me, because I didn't go into it really stupid. I was pretty switched on, but I went into it and my attitude shifted to like, no, I can do this. No, you're not going to beat me. Like, it was like, I saw it as a competition. I was like, no, I can't be wrong. Like, I can't keep being wrong. I've got to beat this. And it was like, that ego took over for a little bit. And I remember thinking, well, okay, if I just take a couple of steps back, I'll be able to assess this properly. But that was definitely a problem for me.
I like that. I was like, yo, I wasn't fully stupid, just a little bit stupid.
I was a little bit naive. Yeah.
For me, you know what killed me a lot? And a buddy of mine, he's a fantastic trader now in the stock market, but he struggled for so many years, was the control thing of thinking like I had to create my own strategy. And I couldn't use someone else's. And it wasn't like how we talk about now, how you take a strategy and kind of adapt it and make it fit. It was like, oh, I see this strategy on the internet, I have to do something completely opposite because it has to be mine. It has to be something no one ever thought about before. And I just wasted so much time because everything that's out there is out there. It's just taking something that already works and kind of
just making it suit you
a little bit. So, but it used to be an ego thing. I had to be different. So yeah, D is I'm probably same as you. I fall. I think the last time I took it, I think I fall between DC? D and I. No, D. No, I think I'm DC. I used to be DI and I shifted over to DC a little bit more. I think trading has had that effect. Speaking of I, let's go into the next one. I is going to be for influence. People in general, people with the I personality type tend to place put an emphasis on shaping the environment by influencing and persuading others. And some of the goals for I personality types are going to be, they want victory, but they want it with flair, right? I'm sure we have a lot to say about that. Yeah. They pursue friendship and happinesses. They achieve status through authority. So it's not really results. It's kind of being seen as an authority figure. They want approval. They want to be popular. Some of the challenges are they have challenges being organized, challenges taking time to research facts, challenging resisting impulses, challenges speaking directly, staying focused for a long period of time. There's a lot of challenges there that are kind of big red flags for trading. Any of those in particular you think is probably the I
remember talking to a friend of mine called Daniel Priestley, and if you don't know Daniel Priestley, you can check him out. He's a phenomenal entrepreneur. But I was talking to him and he always says like I could never be a trader because he's very much I. And he's like, I would just want to look at the charts on the screen and blow them to move the markets. He's like, I'd be going to blow the markets. He was like, I can't bear the thought of me not being able to control the direction of where something goes. And he says, I would just be a useless trader because of that. And then, and when we did the test, funnily enough, he was an I. So that's very much it. If you can't control the markets and you're used to being able to manipulate certain situations with your influence and your power, then you're going to have a little bit of a difficult time or a humbling experience in the markets. You need to tone that down a little bit. Definitely.
Yeah. I think for me, another one that stands out is just get organized. I think that's, I mean, if you're not organized in trading, man, you're gonna fail. Resisting impulses as well. I mean, trading, it's if you've watched any episodes of the Trader Coffee Break here, we just keep talking and pounding into your head the psychological element of trading. It is by far the most important thing. And like resisting impulses it's really, I would say it's the name of the game. It's being able to control your mindset and just do what you're supposed to do, not do stuff you're not supposed to do. And I know my story personally, I became a consistently profitable trader after realizing that I was pretty good at trading. I just couldn't resist my impulses to do dumb stuff. And I just eliminate the dumb stuff. So I think that is that's a must for traders. You can't just be impulsive.
Impulse is also a detrimental to, like, when you do revenge trades and when no one's watching and you just quickly, I'll just have a shoot at that, and you end up giving your money back. Like, that's all you do. You end up giving your money back to the markets, and you want to lose those impulses for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's hard for me to take a lot of pros out of this one. A lot of them, I always think of the negatives of this, but one of the pros that stands out in the goals section, it says, I guess it says, I'm trying to find one that's attain victory with flair. I'm not big on the flair part of it, but to each his own. But I do think the ability to understand that you have to do it your way, I think that can be helpful in trading, where, again, that doesn't necessarily put the flair component into it, but understanding that, hey, like, I don't need anyone else's approval, or I don't need anyone else to kind of have my back. I'm okay venturing off on my own and like doing it my way. And I think that is needed in trading, because you're going to be a lone wolf out there. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there that know what trading is. A lot of your friends have no idea what you're doing, or probably bash you and say that you're crazy and stupid for pursuing it. And the internet is a bunch of garbage. You go in there and everyone just has something to say against whatever you post. So I think you kind of need that mentality where it's like me against the world. Like, I've got to do it myself. Even though you need a community, but at least initially to kind of separate yourself from the junk that's out there. This was definitely a tough one. We'll move on to the S category next. S is steadiness. So in general, S personality, they put emphasis on cooperating with others within existing circumstances to carry out tasks. So these are the ones that are very organized. Let's kind of
everything in the pigeonholes.
Exactly. Right. Routine. Like, I did a podcast the other day. I got asked a question about, there's a trader who had OCD, and he asked me if you think it would harder to trade with OCD. It was an interesting conversation, and there were a lot of pros and cons. And one of the cons of having OCD, or at least being somewhere on the spectrum, is that if you have kind of the control symptom, I hate that word, but control element of OCD, you're very like, hey, like, this has to be done in an exact order.
It's very objective, objective. It's like,
trading, your trading plan, right? How do we, if then, that's how we want to roll through our trading plan. Like, there's no subjectivity. It's like, does it meet the rules? And that's positive. But the goals for the S right here are stability. They strive for team accomplishment. So it's not just kind of selfish accomplishment. They want to help other people as well. They do want acceptance, which I guess can be looked at as a pro or a con. They're big into like formal roles and positions and kind of having labels. And they want to kind of maintain peace. They don't want to be the one that kind of ruffles any feathers. Some of their challenges are they find it hard to adapt to unclear or new expectations. Multitasking is difficult. And then overcoming decisiveness is kind of an issue for them in the S category.
I think a lot of the issues with that people face when they are in the S category is they do need direction. So they like to be told a system, and then they'll stick to the system, and they need certainty that needs to be either given to them by a D or an I. And then they're team players, right? They're in a corporation, they're in a job usually. And when they go if they ever start a business, which they usually don't, what usually happens is a D will start the business and then pull in an S as a partner, and one will do the accounts, right? And one will do the vision. And that works really, really well. But with trading, you're on your own. So there is a little bit of a problem, because you definitely don't have stability in trading, not in the first, not when you're going into it and learning. It's like really outside your comfort zone if you're an S. Let us know if you're an S, by the way, in the comments. I'm not saying that that is something that you just can't master trading with. It's just something that you need to be aware of so that you know it's there and you know why you feel a certain way. But yeah, that's what I think about S's with trading.
Yeah, and again, I think it's important to understand that we're all going to be in kind of different categories. Yeah. So you could have
some
a D and an S.
Yeah.
And you know, again, some of the S traits that I guess that stand out for me is I think it is very hard for them to leave that comfort zone and even get into trading. I think that's a massive hurdle. But I think if they can get past that hurdle, I mean, those are going to be the ones where, so we deal with this a lot on the platform, where I had to yell at a guy the other day because, like, you know, he asked this question.
You never yell at anyone.
Oh, yeah, it was a bad week, man. It was a bad, like, I'd never up nice, but like, so he was asking questions about like trend continuation setups. And I'm like, you know, we're in a live room. We're like, hey, you know, let me know what you're looking at. We'll kind of walk through it. And he shows me the chart in a pair and we're all looking at it. And like, you can imagine the look on the other traders' eyes. They're like, what? We're in a clear bearish trend. Like, where's this bullish continuation? We're scratching our heads and stuff. And we get down to it. I'm like, hey, did you go through the courses in order? He's like, well, I kind of skipped to the mastery course. The mastery course is one where we teach like our strategies. There's 3 courses before that where we teach all the basic stuff that you need in order to do the strategies. So he's like, yeah, I kind of went through it, but I'm like, did you do the homework, the action items? No, I kind of skipped right to the mastery. And you see people that bounce around and they get into trouble. And this guy had to end up going back and doing it all over again. The S's, those are the ones that I know reach out to you and me and they're like, Jason, tell me where to start. Tell me exactly what I need to do. Or like, I think it was, I forgot the accountability session. Someone the other day was like, hey, I got it measured out. I'm going to spend exactly a month on each of this, blah, 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 blah. And it's all in line. And it may take those traders a little bit longer because they're really taking their time and going through it. But typically you see those traders have the best, the highest success rate because they're doing things the right way. So
it's like the old analogy, like measure twice, cut once, right? Yeah. Measure twice, cut once. That's exactly what they do. It's like, right, I've got it.
Yeah, I think that's a big pro for that category. Again, it's that initial leap, which is the hard one. If you have a little bit of those traits, I think you'll be good. I think another thing that could be difficult for S's, and this is hard for anyone, but one that stood out for me was adapt or change to unclear expectations.
Right.
And trading is difficult because, actually, I was going to say trading is difficult because the market conditions are always changing. But if you're an S category person, you're probably consistent with doing your review. So you're probably able to, now that I think about it, you're probably able to identify the changes and the tweaks that you need to make to your system because you're not kind of like the other trader who's like, oh, my system's going to run the right way forever. And then they check at the end of like 5 years and they realize like things have changed. So maybe that's not I think that could be actually a positive.
That's probably a pro. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that I think about it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's move on to the last one, the C. This is the word I hate this word. Conscientiousness.
Conscientiousness.
It's the middle. It gets sloppy in the middle. Conscientiousness. These people they work within their existing circumstances to basically ensure quality and accuracy. Really good words right there. Yeah. So some C-style goals: stick to objective processes, be accurate and correct, demonstrate stability and reliability, attain knowledge and expertise, continue personal growth, challenges, being overcritical, overanalyzing themselves, even isolating themselves, letting go and delegating tasks. And that's a big one for outside of trading as well. Compromise for the good of the team. Making quick decisions is a little bit tough for this category as well. So I think you guys that were listening earlier, you're probably able to see kind of why some of us, at least I made the shift from DI to kind of DC as I got into trading. I think it forced us to kind of make it to that area.
Yeah, we often say that, look, trading is a massive self-discovery journey. Like, it is a massive, I don't think you'll get to know yourself better doing anything else other than trading, unless you went and sat under a banyan tree somewhere in the mountains for 6 months. But trading really does force you to know yourself well. And one of the things that I realized very quickly is it makes you more objective. It allows you to deal with risk more. It allows you to be more consistent. It allows you to think longer term. It makes you much more systematic. It just makes you journal everything, assess everything, analytic, like you become an analyst. And that you almost develop the C, even if you're not a C, when you go into trading, because you're forced to. So just by going into trading, you can enhance the C side of your personality 100%. That's what I believe, that 100%, because I've seen so many people do it. But if you're already that type of person, you've got a great shot at trading. Like, you've got a great shot. All you have to do is work on the risk taking and taking the plunge and being out, getting outside of your comfort zone a little bit, which comes from action, skilling up a little bit, doing some research, reading, knowing your system well, so that you've got the confidence to then go into it. But yeah, there's no right or wrong. The purpose of this episode is to really share with you the 4 different personality types, and then so that you can see where you are or where you cross over and merge a little bit, so you're aware and you know what's missing and what your strong points are. Because I guarantee, if anyone's listened to this at the moment, I'm sure you've been doubtful of your personality and thought that it's a bad thing. Oh, and why am I so risk averse? Why am I so in pigeonholes? Or why do I always just take a leap and not think about the details? I'm sure you've seen it as a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you wasn't aware and where it fits. So yeah, that was great. I love hearing back to that, Akil. I appreciate you bringing that up today.
Yes,
cool.
It's always interesting, and I agree with you. We don't want you guys to kind of take like if I had to choose a category, like if we had to choose kind of one to be like the optimal trader, it would probably be like a DC, because you need that dominant personality to actually take the leap in entrepreneurship. The C category is really good for the specifics of what you need for trading. But we don't want you guys, and hopefully you guys go and take the test, and please share below what you end up getting. But we don't want you thinking like, oh man, I'm a SI, so I can't be a good trader. It's like what Jason said, right? We all have all of these personalities inside of us. It's just some are stronger than the others. And what happens is, as you grow in life, and especially as you get in trading, you're going to start to see them shift. Again, I was a DI when I took this. I think I originally took it 4 years ago. I took it again this past year, and I was completely different. In fact, I took it twice because I was like, oh yeah, I already know what I am. I don't need to take it again. So you are going to see those changes, and you can use the kind of the traits inside them are kind of like superpowers, man. Like you can decide to let them be bad and use them for evil and be a supervillain, or you can use them for good and be a superhero. That part is up to you. But I do think it's so important to notice stuff, and that's why the previous episode we did is so important as well, because it is a journey of self-discovery. It's kind of deeper than just the markets. This is gonna help you become a better father, mother, husband, wife, better partner, just a better person in general. It all kind of goes hand in hand. It really does. It's really cool.
Yeah, because if you're in a partner dynamic, or you've got colleagues or work, or staff, if you get them to do the test and you see why they think certain ways, you can really see how the puzzle pieces fit together, how you complement each other, and how you actually both need each other, particularly with siblings. Because siblings, from an evolutional standpoint, we are bred opposite. It's literally opposite. I don't know any brother or sister that are the same, and other than twins. One will be academic, one will be creative. One will be into sports, one will be into art. One will be, and there'll be completely different values on money, work ethic, and I've never ever seen two siblings the same. Indian culture is a little bit different. They deliberately, but they still push their kids into different fields, and deliberately, like they're like, right, you be a lawyer, you be a tradesman, you be a mathematician, and it's deliberate. But you'll find that your sibling will be completely different. And if you've been scratching and clawing and bashing your sibling over the head, do this test and you'll see why you both need each other and how you complement each other. I guarantee it. So 16personalities.com. Definitely go and check it out. Let us know in the comments what you got. I'll be interested to see that.
Now I'm thinking about my 2 kids. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I never knew that. I learned something new about. I was a only child, so I didn't have that situation. But I'm thinking about all the brothers and sisters I knew, and I'm like, it's That really is
crazy.
That really is true.
It's and from evolution, it's so we can survive the longest. So we've got the most diversity of survival. It's fascinating. There's a really good book, and I can't remember what the book is, but I'll dig it out and I'll recommend it next week, or I'll put it in the comments here if I find it. But that is it for another week, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Always learning something new, I hope. And thanks for coming along for the coffee. Remember, do less to gain more. And until next week, have a great rest of your day and good luck in the markets. And we'll see you then. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media. And remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.